The views and opinions heard on You Talking Good are not necessarily the principles or practices of Pastor Galen Leverette and the Greater House of Prayer Church.
Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, whatever the time zone is, wherever you are. But we're here in Hickory Hills, Illinois. We're at the Chateau Del Mar, wishing you a very
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Pride Month. You name it.
We want to say hello to all of our friends, our subscribers, our followers, and we want to say thank you. Those of you who are all over the country, you know who you are.
Yes, you
we
do.
just came to let you know that we're thinking about you on Father's Day.
Absolutely.
We're thinking about you during Pride Month. So look, don't forget to tune in.
Every Thursday, there's an episode dropping of our podcast, You Talking Good. Make sure you check it out at that time.
We look forward to seeing you
Absolutely.
in the comments. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, whatever the time zone is, wherever you are.
Absolutely.
It's your girl, Evangelist Leverette, and I'm here with my incredible co-host, Minister Cheryl Fowler.
Hello, hello, hello.
And we are back with another episode of
You Talking Good.
We love you guys so much.
Yes, we
Thank
do.
you for following us. Those of you all over the country, and you know where we are by now.
Absolutely.
We're on Spotify, Pandora, iHeart.
Mm-hmm.
We're everywhere podcasts can be found. Apple
Absolutely.
Podcasts. Thank you so much for liking,
thank you.
sharing,
and subscribing.
your beautiful comments, your
Yes.
questions. We appreciate you guys so much.
Absolutely.
You know what? I'm amazed.
I am as well.
I'm amazed and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for all of our followers and subscribers from all over the country. Texas, North Carolina, Florida, New York, Virginia.
Missouri.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We
Thank
do
you.
not take it for granted.
No, we don't.
So here we are. How many days do we have left in the
Man,
calendar
can
year?
you believe we have 202 days left in this year? My goodness.
I'm afraid. I'm getting really scared because I don't know if, we started out talking about goals.
Yeah.
New year, now what? And if you didn't see that episode, it's not too late for you to go back and look at episode 1.
Absolutely.
New year, now what? And so now we have 202 days left. By the time
202.
you're viewing this episode, you need to look at your New Year's goals.
Yes.
You need to look and see what you are accomplishing, what you have accomplished, and what you have yet to accomplish.
Absolutely.
Because the time is going by really.
It is fleeting quickly, and it's not waiting.
It's not waiting
for anyone.
That 202, that kind of scared me. But we're just going to take it one day at a time. I'm going to go back and revisit some of my strategic goals
Me
and
too.
see where we are and see if we are really accomplishing the things that we said we were going to accomplish.
Absolutely.
So we're back with another episode, and Minister Fowler, who people, you know what, I don't want to go there, but you got a lot of fans. You have a lot of fans.
How did I obtain
They
all
like
of these
you.
fans?
They like you, and they like your prayers, and they like your voice. And I'm happy about that,
Thank you.
because you were a godsend.
Amen.
So let's go ahead and get started. Today, what are we talking about tonight?
Today, I think that we're going to talk about the 4th of July celebration, along with Juneteenth. We kind of want to know, are those events, I know the 4th of July, is it for us or not for us?
So wait a minute. When you say us, you mean people of color, or you and me us, or us?
People of color. Sorry.
Oh, Lord, here she comes.
And guess what? The word of the week.
What is it?
Reparations, honey.
Lord Jesus, here we go. Here we go, God. Help us.
You can give us 40 acres and a mule.
I look, okay. I try to come on and I try to be sweet and sophisticated, and she wants to get me riled up. Okay, you get 40 acres and a mule. What you gonna do with it, Minister Fowler? I just want to know. Wait, first of all, where you gonna put the mule?
I'm gonna go down south with my 40 acres and my mule, honey.
Girl, you
and start
losing me. You losing me.
tending
I wish you could see my face.
to that old property. I'm looking at your
Those of
face.
you who are looking at the podcast via YouTube, you can see my face. Those of you who are listening, go to YouTube because you need to see this look on my face.
You need to see that look.
Girl, I'm not. Now,
her
my
look
viewers,
is priceless.
my viewers and my listeners in the South, I have nothing against the South, but it's not for me. It's just not for me. I lived in Alabama for 4 years.
Okay.
After my mother passed away. It's hot. Because it's hot. I'm worried about my hair sweating out every 5 minutes.
And the makeup.
And let me tell you, I can't be outside. I have to be someplace in the air conditioning. Now, my cousins who live in Alabama, I know they're listening and they're viewing, but they know they're not going to be offended because they know the South is not for me. I'm a Midwest girl. So let me tell you, the mule is not going to work for me because I do not have anywhere to house the mule here in Chicago. So I'm going to have to sell it. Maybe you can have yours and mine.
I'll take.
You'll be plowing with the yoke and everything, corn, grain. I don't know what you're going to be doing. I don't even know what you would grow. I don't know how the mule comes in.
I would want to go back and grow the real vegetables and things that folks now can run to the store and buy. How you think you get all that stuff?
I do understand that, Minister
Absolutely.
Fowler. I do. But
Absolutely.
Gardening and farming is not for me.
I understand. And guess what? It wasn't for me either. However, it is. Now that we're buying all this food that's processed, it has all these antibiotics or whatever else is in it. I want to go back so I can till the land and soil and grow my own fresh vegetables.
Well, my grandmother had a farm.
Absolutely.
She had a farm. She had cows. She had chickens. I had never seen the little baby chickens before. I had never seen that.
Oh, wow.
So she did all of that,
Absolutely.
right? And even in the 70s and the 80s, she was still washing her clothes in a wringer-type washing machine.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And she was hanging them out on the line.
Yes, ma'am. Did she can preserves?
She did all of that.
Absolutely.
My family, they still go hunting, not as a hobby.
Okay.
That's really important to them. And, she had peas and butter beans and all of that. And so my mother knew how to do all of that.
Absolutely.
Okay. I guess where I'm going with this is, though, if I get the 40 acres and the mule, where's the 40 acres going to be? Do I get to determine that, or would the government determine that for me? Because, see, I don't know if I trust the government to handle that.
Well, you know what? Unfortunately, I'm sure that they will have their hand in it some kind of way.
Absolutely.
Shame on them. Hence why we're asking for reparations now.
So can they just convert mine to cash?
Viewers, what do you think?
I need a cash conversion.
You know what? I kind of would want both. I kind of want to be able to have both. Now, that's just my thoughts and my opinions, but I would like to have both.
You can convert mine to bonds,
okay,
or you can convert it to cash.
Okay.
But I don't have time for gardening. I don't.
Because again,
now because I'm wondering, is it going to be oil on my land, or I'm just getting something that's got some. See, and people down south, they're very shrewd.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if you have trees, they know how to cut and sell lumber.
Oh, absolutely.
All of that. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But I need some land that the developer would be interested in purchasing from me. You see what I'm saying? So the fort is just not cut and dry 40 acres and a mule.
Of course not. There's always more.
Absolutely.
There's always more to it. But guess what? The idea of the 40 acres and the mule.
So do you feel like the government owes you?
Owes me, my family, your family.
Okay.
Everyone else's family.
So because of that, do you celebrate 4th of July or Juneteenth?
No, I do Juneteenth. However, not the 4th of July. I'm referring back to Frederick Douglass when he wrote.
She done went all the way back.
His speech, "What is the 4th of July to me?" Look it up. Find it on Google. But read it, because clearly he knew that the 4th of July was not independence for our people. It was independence for the colonizers and their people. Look it up.
I don't have to look it up because I already know. So listeners, Minister Fowler is full of knowledge and history. She wants you to look it up. A lot of people don't even know why we celebrate or why Juneteenth is now important. I want to talk about the retailers.
Fair enough.
the retailers make money off of the hairs on top of your head.
Oh, my goodness.
So they couldn't care less about one celebration or the other, but they're just going to put out, like I'm wearing the colors now. Get ready, because you're going to see these Juneteenth colors.
Absolutely.
Right in the store. You're going to see the 4th of July colors. And regardless as to what your celebration is, and I think it'll be interesting. Yeah, I'm going to ask the listeners, those of you that are viewing via YouTube, type in the comments. I want to know, what do you do for the 4th of July? What do you do for Juneteenth? What do you do? Because the retailer's going to make money either way.
Either way. Home in St. Louis, when I was growing up, there used to be, they called it the VP Fair, and it was basically the Veiled Prophet Parade. Of course, as a child, I had no idea what the Veiled Prophet or who he was at one particular time. When you're a little kid, your folks are taking you to these celebrations and woo! However, once I learned the history behind the Veiled Prophet, and
we out here now in deep water. You might as well go ahead. We out here.
It just took me aback. It really threw me aback. He was no better than a slave owner, really, to be real honest about it. I'm just putting it in real layman's terms. And it just hurt my heart that I could see our people celebrating this veiled prophet as if he was some sort of great miracle, better than sliced bread.
Well, now, Minister Fowler.
I'm just
it did not take much. Now, listen to me. Now, this is very important.
Of course it is.
One of the things that you have to understand is that our people back then in the 1800s, in the early 1900s,
absolutely,
they were not the most literate people in the world.
Of course not.
Like right now, we have the advantage of having computers. And I used to sell encyclopedias, right? And so if you came from a family where education was important and knowledge was important, then having that knowledge was also important.
Absolutely.
But there are a lot of people who just went on information that was handed down to them, that was passed down to them. And I was saying this to someone today. I was telling a friend of mine, I said, I am so grateful that I'm able to read.
I am as well.
Because when you travel, and we're not off topic, we're going to get back on topic, but when you travel, everything is in writing. And if you can't read the signs in the airport, you won't know where baggage claim is. You won't know where the ticket agents are. You won't know where the ladies' room, and of course they put pictures and symbols and all of that. But you got to be able to read in this society.
Must. You remember back in the day, RIF. Reading is fundamental.
So here you had people who were just going based upon what they were told.
Yes.
What somebody told them. And they did what they were told to do.
Yes.
And so their knowledge was limited. Now, what I'm fearful of is here we are in the 21st century. Your knowledge should not be limited.
Should not be.
About anything.
No
So just
way.
like she's talking about the veiled prophets, you probably even never heard of that. You probably never heard that term before. And so you don't know how that ties in with 4th of July or Juneteenth. But there was a mystic order of veiled prophets of the enchanted realm. You look it up.
Absolutely.
You look it up and you'll see why this was so important to people. And these county fairs.
Yes.
These state fairs, things like that. That was really important to people. And that is what a lot of people did during the holidays.
Yes.
And they celebrated by eating different foods.
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm gonna help you.
Come on, help.
This is not something that just our people came up with.
No.
Go back to the Bible. If you go back to the Bible, a lot of celebrations were wrapped around feast.
Yes.
Eating, celebrating by eating certain foods,
Yes.
getting together, drinking. That is how
Absolutely.
people down through life's history, regardless of to race, creed, color, religion, or whatever, that's how people have always celebrated things.
Absolutely.
I mean, so
Absolutely.
even if you think about the prodigal son, this is probably a common story to help people
Very
get
much
it.
so.
When the prodigal son came home, he said, "Oh, get out the fatted calf,
Get out
get the
everything.
ring, get the robe, get it out."
Absolutely.
So it's not uncommon for people to celebrate with food. But what we're talking about today is how important is 4th of July or Juneteenth to you as an individual?
Absolutely.
Do you think the young people think it's important?
Quite frankly, I'm not sure if they really know the history behind it of either.
Okay.
And that's just my thought, because I was speaking with a few young people just the other day. They were like, "What is that?"
You see what I'm saying?
And it's like, oh my goodness.
So tell everybody, why do people celebrate Juneteenth? Why is June 19th so important?
Well, June 19th, for me, and why it's so important to me, that's when our people of color, were liberated. That's my interpretation, and that's my understanding. And I don't care what. It took all of these years to finally be recognized.
For it to come to surface.
For it to come to surface.
That's
sure.
what it is, because it's always been that day. It's always been on the books. But again, it's about art. See, I really don't want to talk about this, but she's taking us there. Are they going to let us celebrate? Because that's what it's about.
Well, they always want to keep.
Do we have your permission to celebrate it? Do we have because it's not a national holiday.
No.
Boom. It's not a national holiday, right?
No, it's not.
So you can have your own little celebration in your own little neighborhood. You can get a T-shirt. You can have your own little picnic, barbecue, your little, jazz fest, whatever you want to have. But the question became, once we take the cover off of this and we really begin to talk about it, do we have your permission to really celebrate it? Because we could have been celebrating it all along.
That we could have. We should have been celebrating it after Abraham Lincoln.
There you go.
Sorry, President Abraham Lincoln, Lord rest his soul.
Yes.
Deliverance of his Gettysburg Address.
And now that we have your permission to celebrate it, now it's important to me. Do you see what's wrong with us as a people?
Absolutely.
Nothing becomes important until somebody else tells you it's important. So don't tell me about freedom, because you got the freedom to do a lot of things, but you're not doing anything with the freedoms that you have. You're still waiting for somebody to give you permission and put their seal of approval on what you do.
You know what that reminds me of here? Quick story. Let's go back to 1888 when Africa, the Europeans in Europe, all of the textile mills, all you history buffs out there, the textile mills were running at full capacity in the 19th century. You can see a picture of a colonizer looking out his backyard with his telescope, peeping over into Africa. Well, guess what? Germany, Italy, France, all of these folks decided to go over to Africa and
here you go.
colonize
See,
us.
Here you go. You start.
In 1888, they divided all of these.
I was going to talk about barbecue, but see, she just started.
Decided to carve Africa up. And once they did all of that, by the 1960s, oh, you want your independence. We're going to give you your independence. However, the small line under that is they really didn't give Africans their independence. Why? Because, ladies and gentlemen, you can look it up. What they did was assimilated the Africans into their culture, took away their trading, their bartering, their cash crop systems, and assimilated them into their culture.
See, this is where we get lost. People don't understand it's a mind game and a money game.
Mind and money game.
That's all it is.
And then
they were already free.
Already free. already free. They pilfered and pillaged and took all of the resources from Africa, although they're still plentiful with resources. Do you hear me?
But here's the real scary part. We have all this freedom right now. What you doing with it?
What are you doing with it?
What are you doing with it? I can tell you what you waiting on somebody to give you your reparations. Boom.
Or your seal of approval.
Exactly.
Permission.
So you can celebrate. I have nothing against people celebrating June 19th, 4th of July. Celebrate what you want to celebrate.
Absolutely.
But you need to do something with your time and do something with your life.
Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, they really don't care what you do as long as you don't hurt nobody, as long as you don't hurt them. Ooh, I did that say that. Ooh, are we out of time? I think maybe we out of time. Girl,
ain't gonna hurt nobody.
Don't play with me.
I'm just saying.
You know, all of this, I remember, and this is gonna sound bad. When I first started working, I didn't care nothing about these holidays other than the fact I was gonna be off. That was it. I didn't have to go to work.
Wow.
I could have a day off, put my feet up, be with my man, be with my kids. That's what I was concerned about. Because history was history. I'm keeping it a buck. And a lot of you all felt the same way. Just a day off. Not that I'm not concerned about my people. Not that I'm not concerned about my children's future, the future generations.
Sure.
But when Lord Jesus, please don't unsubscribe. But I'm gonna keep it real. If we're gonna talk about stuff, let's keep it real. When you have been completely colonized,
come on,
you don't care, because that's the real game. That's the real game, to stop caring.
Hence why I just said this is why Africa will never be independent ever again. They are completely dependent. That is that slave mentality. It has followed them and it will continue.
And now, and if you look around, we have been so completely colonized that we don't care.
And there's a new form of neo-colonialism. Neo meaning new in Africa. I'm just saying.
But real talk, look at us. Look at what we do. Look at how we function from the time we get up in the morning till the time we go to bed at night. We play their games. We wear their clothes.
Yep.
We entertain ourselves with the things they should. People don't understand. Television, and I don't even watch that much television, right? Because I understand the game. I understand the mind game. It took me a while to get there. Television. It's telling somebody else's vision.
Absolutely.
Into your head, your eyes, your brain.
Absolutely.
It is controlled by the people who own the networks. They dictate and determine the programs. Hence, the programming belongs to who? It belongs to them. You can't walk up over to any of these major networks and say, hey, I have a show I want to put on. Girl, you're not even going no further than security. Sit down. So they don't want to hear about
several seats.
Exactly. They don't want to hear about your show because it's their programming that gets aired.
Absolutely.
The sponsors go along with the program because they want to program you also to purchase their goods, right? They're telling their story, their vision, and programming you to believe that that's what it is. And we have been programmed for years.
It has been indoctrinated in our brains.
We're completely colonized.
Absolutely.
Okay, and anything other than that is upsetting to us.
Do you hear me?
I thank God for BET. Here we go. I thank God for BET.
Absolutely.
But that's programming. It's programming to make you think, oh, look how wonderful everything. Oh, look. I remember when I was growing up, you rarely saw a person of color on television. Let me tell you, you know who we saw. Sidney Poitier. Who else did we see? In the 70s, you saw Diane Carroll.
Yes.
And we were celebrating two black people on TV.
Very much so.
Okay, let me help you. You saw, I don't want to go too far back for our viewers, but you saw a lot of people of color. In order to get on television, you had to be willing to go whiteface.
Yes.
Put that white paint on your face.
Yes.
Tap dance, sing, have buck eyes.
Yeah.
And that was it. Until people realized that people of color were an actual market.
Yes.
That we were money makers. That if we got money in our hand, we would buy certain things.
Yep.
We would then encourage our children to buy certain things because we wanted to impress people that we were just as good and just as important as the colonizers.
Absolutely.
And so therefore, not getting money was not about, as you said, well, this is what I'm going to do with my land. This is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to invest it. And I'm going to make something of it. And I'm going to grow this. I'm going to have a grocery store. I'm going to produce my own fruits and vegetables. No. We were not interested in a lot of that. What we were interested in is proving how important we are by what we wear and what we drive.
Woo.
This is real, because this is the programming.
This is real talk.
Isn't this the programming?
Yes.
The car commercials. Watch a television show and see how many car commercials you see.
Oh, man.
It's constant programming of how you need this car, you need that car, you need this, you need that. And let's look at our celebrities, our people of color who have made it to celebrity status.
Okay.
They promote the same thing. So it's the same programming over and over and over. How many commercials will you see for Juneteenth encouraging you to go out and buy a lot or buy a land? Do you see what I'm saying?
One, if any.
Do you see?
A very small
Nobody's
number.
encouraging you to be
Of
independent
course
and be successful.
Of course not.
So don't sit up here and tell me, oh, we celebrating freedom. We have the freedom to do what? What are we doing?
Obviously,
What are we doing with it?
not utilizing the good freedom.
You see what I'm saying? You got your feet propped up and you smoking weed. That's what you're doing.
Hey.
Right. And having sex with multiple people.
That's it. I know several people.
And
like
boycotting the church.
Yes.
Talking about every preacher, every pastor that's on the planet that's trying to get you to straighten your life up. That's what you're free to do. That's what you're doing.
You got some freedom.
Because you have the autonomy.
That absolutely.
To do a lot of things. And you complaining about other people, other races, other cultures. Right now, we could order something from Uber Eats right here, right now, as we sit here in our little studio. It will not be a person of color that comes to that door.
It sure will not be.
It's going to be somebody from another race.
Absolutely.
Because they out there on the hustle and on the grind.
They on their grind.
And what are we doing?
Sitting down crying. Crying, as my father would say, Cheryl, quit crying. You got 10 loaves of bread under your arm and the butter to go with it. Stop crying.
And on the phone trying to figure out the next thing we're going to buy.
That's real talk for real people.
That's what
with
we do.
real problems.
That's what we
in
do.
this real world.
Now, we want you to enjoy.
Definitely.
We want you to enjoy your 4th of July. We want you to enjoy Juneteenth.
Amen.
I don't know how you plan to celebrate. I don't know how you plan. I don't know how you plan to celebrate it. But I would love to know.
Absolutely.
What are we doing with all of these wonderful freedoms? We have freedom of speech. We have freedom of religion.
Absolutely.
We have all of these wonderful freedoms here. You can start your own business. You can start your own company. You can do it. It's just that the list is endless.
Yes.
What are you doing with all these freedoms?
Probably nothing, obviously. And think about all the people like myself and other veterans who have put their lives on the line.
It's sad. So we can be here because freedom is not free.
It is not free.
It is
not at all.
Free.
And for all the persons who have sacrificed their lives.
My God.
Just for our freedoms. And what are we doing with them?
Let me tell you something. We don't even appreciate our active duty military. We don't appreciate them. You see them in the airport. You see them at the bus stations. You don't even go up to them and say thank you for your service.
Hey, I'm the first one to run up, even though I don't put my uniform on anymore. I can't even get one leg in my uniform paint. However, wherever I see a military, whether they're a veteran, whether they're wearing a hat, whether they're in uniform, I immediately run up. And
they
give
deserve
them.
It. They deserve that
Thank
honor.
you.
They deserve because
Absolutely.
They're making sacrifices.
Absolutely.
They're making sacrifices every single day. They're not with their wives. They're not with their husbands.
Or
they're
their
not
mothers,
with
fathers.
their significant others, their children. They're sacrificing every day for our safety and protection.
Absolutely.
But real talk, our people, we're anti-military. Boom.
Ooh, don't get me started.
And I know why. Now, here in the Midwest, they're like that because when the Vietnam War hit, they felt like we were the sacrificial lambs. I get it. But at the end of the day, we still have to have a military for this country.
That we do.
And so there are lots of things going on in the military you know nothing about.
Nope.
You in the bed, sleep, you chilling, you driving your car, you having a good time.
Kicking it, as we say.
Kicking it, turning up.
Kicking it.
It's summertime, you getting lit. But the people in the military are making the sacrifices so we can remain safe and we can remain free.
Absolutely. And if people aren't aware, that war in Ukraine, pretty tough.
So I even want to change the title. What are you doing with your freedoms?
What are you doing with your freedoms?
What are you doing with them? I'm done. I don't even have anything to say. You done got me all riled up.
But you know what? This was a topic that we needed to have.
Really?
And share. Absolutely.
Have you taught your children anything about Juneteenth? About 4th? Are they still learning about it in school?
If they haven't already ripped it out of the history books, because from what I'm told,
there are all kinds of limitations
there
now.
are all kinds of limitations on the content that are in your history.
And what kind of books can come into your curriculum.
Yes.
So look, we want you to enjoy these celebrations.
Yes,
but we also want you to utilize your freedoms in such a way that we're growing from them.
Absolutely.
That we're becoming better people. That we are not just making sacrifices and celebrating just to be celebrated.
No.
We need to be celebrating accomplishments.
Absolutely.
Accomplishments.
That's the top of the list.
We look, put it in the comments.
Please
put it in the comments. We'd like to know what you plan to do for the 4th of July, what you plan to do for June 19th. How do you feel about reparations, and what are you doing with your freedoms? I know that's a whole laundry list of stuff for you to talk about.
Whole laundry list. So you can add that to New Year Now What goals.
Now what?
You can just extend it.
Are you just going to go watch the fireworks and have you some Bahama Mamas? Or you gonna take
some
you a
martinis?
Yeah, you gonna take you a little trip
or margaritas
for the weekend. What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? We would encourage you to do more with your time.
Make a difference.
Make a serious
I'm done.
difference. We really appreciate all of you.
This was Minister Fowler's topic.
For listening, for watching. We thoroughly. Remember what I always say. Knowledge is what?
It's the key.
It's the key. And this is the place where what?
Where you
want to be.
It's the place. We want you to be free.
Absolutely. Free.
Free up your mind.